From the heartland of America, focused on God, family, and country, the mouthpiece of the Midwest. This is Dale Carter's America.
We're back in the podcast studio in Raytown, and really, Kurt, it's too bad that there's nothing going on.
Never. It seems like there's never anything going on. There's never anything for us to argue about.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we'll see if we do.
No,
I may be coming more around to your side of things. And honestly, last week, you put that up, said we had a disagreement about that. I was just trying to frame the issue from like 30,000 feet.
Right. Maybe that might have been my bad, if that was not accurate.
Yeah. So, and there's going to be more of that framing going on here from 30,000 feet, looking at it from both sides and maybe what the motives are involved in all of this. We don't want to get too in detail about what's going on because it changes so fast.
Yep.
By the time you post this thing, hell, it may be over.
Yeah, I mean, between now and the time this posts, there's going to be like hundreds of more bombs dropped.
You never know. So we want to tell you right off the top here that Bob Watson is one of the sponsors of this podcast, and he may be getting a lot of phone calls. Austin Watterson may be getting a lot of phone calls after the weather that we've had here in the Midwest with the hail. Did you see some of the pictures of the hail?
Yeah, I'll pull some up.
4-inch diameter hail. I mean, you definitely want to have the best insurance on your side, and that's my guy, Bob Watson. He's been with me for 31 years, insuring my home, my automobiles, auto, home, life, commercial insurance. If it's important enough for you that you want to get insurance on it, which should be a lot of things in your life, Bob Watson is the guy you ought to talk to. Get a rate quote, 816-229-7878. Bundle your home and car insurance. You'll save even more. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
There he is. He's there.
He is there. And I didn't have any damage at my house. Did you have damage here?
No, here's a picture on the screen here. Just
I know, that is huge.
Yeah, it's massive. I think there was somewhere in Illinois or something like that, they broke a record. It was like 5 or 6 inch hail, which is wild.
That'll break a window or two.
Oh yeah. It'll break every window. We got hail, but it was just the little pea-sized stuff. So
I slept through it.
Yeah.
I guess there were tornado warnings going off, but
we had them. When was that? Earlier in the week, like Monday or Sunday night or something like that. There was another big storm that came through, and we had the sirens going off here for that, but not the other night.
Welcome to the Midwest.
Yep.
It happens. Spring is the time when you get all the storms and all that. So with a lot going on here, let's remind everybody how they can get this podcast.
Absolutely. So make sure you check out the video version on Rumble or YouTube. Make sure you drop a like, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, share the link with your friends, and then the audio only version you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and then follow us on Facebook as well.
We're going to get to the Iran stuff in a bit here, but at the very top of the podcast, I just have to vent my spleen. I am so upset about what happened in Jackson County with this thug who, Dominic Miller. You followed this story at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, we're going to follow the story here with the help of KCTV5. But basically, he got 2 years for a weapons violation. Initially, they were saying that his bullet is the one that killed Lisa Lopez Galvin.
Right.
And now they say they can't determine that was the case. And before we deep dive into this too much, for those who don't know, especially those who follow the podcast from other areas, I want you to think about this, because most people who watch and listen and consume this podcast are supporters of the Second Amendment. You would agree with that, right?
Yeah, most likely.
So watch this news coverage and then let's talk.
Okay, here we go.
Man who fired a gun at the Chiefs Super Bowl rally and celebration back in 2024 was sentenced yesterday, but not for murder in connection to Lisa Lopez Galvin's shooting death. Dominic Miller took a plea deal, pleading guilty to 1 count of unlawful use of a weapon. His second-degree murder charge was dropped. He was given a 2-year prison sentence with credit for time served. The case raising questions about Missouri's self-defense laws. KCTV5's Grace Smith joins us now live at 5. Grace?
Brad, Melissa Johnson spoke very passionately today defending her office, but calling out Missouri's self-defense laws, saying they are failing our community. She handed us a chart showing just how often that law has forced her office to walk away from cases. So take a look here. In 2025 alone, Johnson's office declined 57 cases because of this law. She says it sets an extraordinarily high bar, requiring prosecutors to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a defendant was the initial aggressor and was not acting in lawful self-defense. Now, in the Chief's parade case, she says the evidence showed Miller did not fire first. Ballistics could not confirm his shot killed Lisa Lopez Galvan. Now, under Missouri law, that was enough to drop the murder charge. Now Johnson is pushing lawmakers to change the law, including a proposal to stop anyone from justifying lethal force in response to a minor assault.
But we must be productive and direct our frustration at the laws governing these cases, not exclusively the prosecutors and judges sworn to follow them. We will not file charges we cannot prove just to make a statement. We'll keep working with lawmakers to make tweaks to the laws failing our community.
Now today, the Lopez Galvan family sent us a statement saying in part, quote, "We are saddened by the outcome of the plea agreement. This was not the resolution we desired and had hoped that the case would proceed to trial so that a jury could hear the evidence and have the opportunity to make the decision." Now, Johnson wasn't able to talk any more about this case as there are two other cases involving this shooting. We will keep you updated.
Shameful, just absolutely shameful. So they're going to get their wrists slapped as well. And, where to start on this? Let's start here, because what I got from the prosecutor's statement was, as long as, you're in a melee or whatever, you can take out your gun and start shooting. Now, my feeling on this is, as a supporter of the Second Amendment and being able to carry for self-defense, that's one thing. But when you take that weapon out and you fire that weapon, see if you agree with me or not, are you not responsible for where the bullet ends up?
100%.
So they're saying he's not.
What they're saying, this is the first I'm hearing about it, so I don't really, I haven't done a deep dive on this, but what they're saying based on the KCTV5 story is that they can't prove that his bullet was the bullet that killed Lisa.
And why can't they?
I don't know.
I mean, I've seen enough CSI to know,
Well, that's TV, Dale.
Are they saying the bullet went through and through and they can't find it? If they found it, if they did an autopsy and they find the bullet, they've got the gun, match it.
I don't know. I don't know why they're saying that, but yeah.
So all they're saying is it's a weapons charge, and we're going to give you a slap on the wrist, which is 2 years, and credit for time served. So it was 2 years ago. I don't know how much time this dude's already served, but it could be that he's going to be out really soon.
Yep.
And back to the neighborhoods where we have black on black crime almost every day. And it sounds like Johnson is hiding behind this statute for Missouri, which is the stand your ground thing, which explains why we have daily black on black gun violence.
Yeah. And it's a shame because, this is just anecdotal, or this is just my opinion, I guess you could say, but it seems like to me, things like stand your ground and castle doctrine are used in cases where it's like a public shooting like this, or where somebody is clearly guilty of something. I mean, now we're just kind of pulling teeth, or we're just getting into the nitty gritty of, well, what should we charge him with and what's the penalty for that? But then when it comes to people who are actually justifiably using self-defense against an attacker or in their home, especially if it's like a white conservative male, then they throw the book at him. That's what it seems like to me, but that's just, again, my opinion.
Well, this is a state law. I'm running for the county legislature, 5th District, serving northeastern Jackson County, where we don't have this kind of violence at that scale. But with the laws being proposed at the county level by Manny Abarca, that cops have to show their faces and that the Fed can't put a detention center here. I mean, I'm going to throw out there my views on gun violence. And that is, if you commit a crime with a gun, we're going to have a maximum minimum for you. And maybe if we can't do it at the state level, maybe we can do it at the county level. I don't know whether it's enforceable or not, but hell, what he's talking about is not enforceable. We should at least be attacking the problem, because they're trying to attack the problem in ridiculous ways. The whole, you can't have a single serve alcoholic beverage within certain neighborhoods. Except at grocery stores, you could buy it there. You could bring your own into the zone. We don't have it, fenced off. It makes no sense.
I see people literally throwing them out of their cars, like all the time. It's crazy.
And then ridiculous gun laws that don't help, that don't do anything. Put some teeth into it. Put some people in prison for a long time when they do something like this.
Yeah.
And if they murder somebody, maybe you can't prove that it was murder in this case because of the bullet and all that. Somebody died and somebody should pay, and you should put it in front of a jury and not hide behind a state law.
Yeah. I think that's the crux of this particular case, based again just on that one video that we just watched, is the fact that they're saying that they can't prove that it was his bullet that killed her. So that's kind of the whole thing right there. I mean, if they can prove that it was him, then it's a whole different story. If they legitimately can't prove that it's him, then, there's only really so much you can do, unfortunately.
So you had a bunch of thugs show up at the Super Bowl rally, and they all started shooting at each other. And because of stand your ground, it's like, well, it's just a weapons charge. We're going to slap your wrist. And
yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example. It's like, there has to be a limitation to that, right?
Yeah.
Like, if somebody else shoots first, technically, that doesn't, like, stand your ground shouldn't apply if it's like all out gang warfare in a public parade. If somebody technically shot first before you did, you know what I mean? Like, that seems like we're applying it a little too liberally. You know what I mean?
Well, if you're strong on public safety, you should vote for me if you can vote in northeastern Jackson County. And if you want to see me win, because I'm running against what appears to be on the surface, I've never met the guy, is a very liberal Democrat, we'd love to have your contribution so we can spread the word. And you can find me at dalecarter.us. We would love to have your support. I pulled a couple of news stories that kind of tie into this. Not really, but so there was a guy, 36-year-old Lucas Reisinger, who went into Gettysburg National Military Park, and he carved his initials in two of the monuments there, okay? He is facing a maximum fine of $250,000 and up to 10 years in prison for each of these etchings.
Wow.
So he could go to jail. It's not probably going to happen that way, but the maximum, he could go to jail for 20 years for putting his initials on two monuments at Gettysburg. And this guy gets 2 years for shooting a gun at a Super Bowl rally. And then there's this one, the former Missouri Speaker, John Deal, sentenced to 21 months in prison. 21. The other guy gets 24 for shooting off a gun. This guy gets 21 months in prison. You know what he did? He stole some money out of the COVID relief fund and transferred that money into his personal accounts and his retirement plan. I mean, I'm not saying that's a great thing either, but he got 21 months for that. This guy gets 24 months for shooting up a Super Bowl rally in which somebody died.
Yep.
It's wrong. So that's where I'm at on that, and would love to hear from you with the campaign website as well at dalecarter.us, because I want to do away with this. Sure, it's about the assessments and taxes and all those other things, but public safety is in my top 3 every time we talk. So let's get that done. Max Motors, I know where Mark Mueller's at on this. Mark Mueller's a big Second Amendment guy, but he's also a responsible gun owner. When you own the gun, you have a right to carry it. Second Amendment says so. But you also have a responsibility on where those bullets end up. That's what I keep coming back to. When you fire the gun, where did the bullet end up? Because I guarantee you that police officers, they have to account for every bullet that they fire. Mm-hmm. Why should we be any different on that? So something to think about. Let's get back to Mark Mueller, though, because he's running Max Motors, and he's got American-made vehicles in dealerships that are on the fringe of the metro area, and that means he can save you big bucks. Max Ford Richmond, Max Chrysler Clinton, Max Chrysler Ford in Butler, Max Chevy GMC Nevada, and Max Chrysler in Nevada, all on one website, maxmotors.com. Even if you never step foot in Richmond, Clinton, Butler, or Nevada, you can find the car that you want, and Mark will have it sent to your front door. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
It's the Amazon of car dealerships. Pick out the car you want, they'll take it to you. Easiest place to buy your next car, especially if you got some hail damage and it's like, well, I didn't really like that car anyway. Let's just get a new one. Small town American values, God, family, country. If you don't buy from Max, Mark always says at least buy American. And then when you get that car, you want to take care of it because the average price for cars is to the point where people are holding on to them longer, which is why you need Christian Brothers Automotive on speed dial. Family values, really good people. When you're dealing with your car and getting it repaired or serviced, you want somebody that you can trust. And my friend Tim Porter is a guy that I trust. I trust him with my kids, because he's employed a couple of them over the years. He's a great mentor. And I also trust him with my vehicles, with my wife's vehicle. You know, if she's going to be out on the road somewhere on the interstate, I want to make sure that the car got repaired and serviced correctly. So Christian Brothers is important in our family. They're all over the metro. You can find the one closest to you at christianbrothersauto.com. The one in Independence, independently owned by my friend Tim Porter, is on 40 Highway, just east of 470 291. Call him and schedule your first visit. You'll see how well they treat you at Christian Brothers. 816-795-6811. And again, on the web at christianbrothersauto.com.
Tremendous people.
All right, let's dive into Iran again. Now, again, we're going to stay away from the specifics on this, but I want to go back to 2015 when Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State now, was a senator from Florida, and he was arguing on the floor of the Senate against Obama's Iran nuclear deal.
I do want to be recorded for history's purposes before I know what was going to happen in regards to this if it goes through. Iran will immediately use the money that it's receiving in sanctions relief to begin to build up its conventional capabilities. It will establish the most dominant military power in the region outside of the United States, and it will raise the price of us operating in the region. They're going to build anti-access capabilities, rockets capable of destroying our aircraft carriers and ships. Continue to build these swift boats that are able to come on us, these fast boats that are able to swarm our naval assets. And they'll make it harder and harder for U.S. troops to be in the region. They'll also work with other terrorist groups in the region to target American servicemen and women. And they may or may not deny that they're involved, but they will target us and raise the price of our presence in the Middle East until they hope to completely pull us out of that region. They'll also continue to build long-range missiles, missiles capable of reaching the United States. Those are not affected by this deal, and they'll continue to build them as they've been doing. And then at some point in the near future, when the time is right, they will build a nuclear weapon. And they will do so because at that point they will know that they have become immune, that we will no longer be able to strike their nuclear program because the price of doing so will be too high. Iran is led by a supreme leader who is a radical Shia cleric with an apocalyptic vision of the future. He is not a traditional geopolitical actor who makes decisions on the basis of borders or simply history or because of ambitions. He has an religious apocalyptic vision of the future, one that calls for triggering a conflict between the non-Muslim world and the Muslim world, one that he feels especially obligated to trigger. And he's going to possess nuclear weapons. This is the world that we are on the verge of leaving our children to inherit, and perhaps we ourselves will have to share in it. And so I want to be recorded for history's purposes, if nothing else, to say that those of us who opposed this deal understood where it would lead. And we are making a terrible mistake. But here's the good news. Iran may have a supreme leader, but America does not. In this nation, we have a republic. And soon we will have new leaders, perhaps in this chamber, but also in the executive branch. And I pray that on their first day in office, they will reverse this deal and reimpose the sanctions and back them up with a credible threat of military force, or history will condemn us for not doing what needed to be done at this critical moment in the world's history.
Prophetic from Marco Rubio. So let's walk back through the sequence of events, because obviously that deal passed, unfreezing Iranian assets, which Iran said it would use any way it wanted. As Democrats here said that the money would be used for humanitarian efforts for Iranians, the Iranians were always clear about that. It's our money, and we're going to use it however we want. So Trump comes in, he scuttles the deal. Biden comes in, he reinstates it. Trump back again, he kills it again. Iran, meanwhile, had access to a lot of funds, and who did they spend the money on? Iranians? No, they sent it to Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, all of whom attacked America and American interests. And if you're keeping score, since 1979, when they invaded our embassy in an act of war, they have killed well over 1,000 Americans. You can look that up. On October 7th, Israel, our ally, was attacked. And then Trump, from that point on, went hardball. He sent stealths to bomb their nuclear facilities. He offered a hand to help Iran after that. He said, "We will give you unlimited nuclear fuel for civilian purposes." Iran said no. It had every intention of continuing its nuclear program. That was the wrong answer. And it takes us to where we are today with Trump's vision of a Middle East that gets along and is good for business for all involved. Now, Iran, let's look at it from their angle. They have seen this movie since 1979. They've been through multiple presidents. They have seen some presidents get tough with them, some go lax on them, and I think they know that time is on their side because America looks at gas prices going up, the market's going crazy, and we don't have an appetite for this long term. There are a lot of people in this country who think that's their problem. Let them deal with it over there. And so we will ultimately back off. And Donald Trump is out there saying, I'm not going to back off. We're going to continue to do this. So it'll be interesting to see, more than interesting, I think it's important for all of us to see where this eventually ends up. Mm-hmm. Because right now, the Strait of Hormuz is like the choke point of the world. 1/5 of the oil in the globe goes through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, 80% of that oil goes to China. So this is a bigger picture. This is not just the United States and Israel bombing Iran. This is, what does Russia think about this? What's their involvement? Right now, the short term for Russia is they're making bank because all of a sudden their oil is back on the market and they're making money. China's sitting over there. 80% of the oil they need to fuel their economy is being stuck in the Strait of Hormuz because of what's going on between the United States and Iran. So again, it's going to be interesting. We'll just have to see how it plays out. And we, in the middle of it, really can't make too many judgments because, A, we're not in the Situation Room. We don't know what's going on in there. And second, history has a way of looking backward and saying, okay, you got it right here, you got it wrong here. And we talked about this last time with the Vietnam War. You had Johnson. I'm not going to lose a war. We're just going to keep sending guys over there, getting them killed, whatever. I'm not losing a war. Nixon comes in and says, I've got a secret plan to end the war. And we upped it. We ratcheted it up. We started bombing other countries in that area. It was Gerald Ford. Interesting that Gerald Ford is the only president who was not elected to either post, vice president or president. And if you look at it, Gerald Ford probably did a lot for this country in his short time in the White House. Think about this. Because the country was tearing itself apart over Watergate, Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon, probably cost him his election in 1976. And Gerald Ford was the guy who ended the Vietnam War. Two very important historical things looking backward that Gerald Ford ought to get credit for, and he doesn't. So, with all of that said, I wanted to bring in Bill Maher, who is no friend of Donald Trump. He laid a trap for Adam Schiff, who is one of the sleaziest politicians in Washington, D.C., in my opinion. He laid a trap for him about the War Powers Resolution.
The president had the constitutional authority to this statement from the administration. The president had the constitutional authority to direct the use of military force because he could reasonably determine that such use of force was in the national interest. That's too vague for you?
Totally vague.
Okay, because that's from Obama about Libya.
Well, Obama made the argument initially that he could go into Syria without an authorization. I and many others pushed back on that argument. Ultimately, he did not go forward with going after Assad, even though Assad was gassing his own people, because he thought he might lose the vote in Congress. But I respect the fact that was important to him, and the fact that he did not have the support of Congress meant that we weren't going to go forward.
What a sleazeball. That was the pivot. That's something that politicians are, breastfed on, the pivot. Yeah. It's like when you get something like that, it's like, oh, shit. Okay, well, I'm going to move over here. Mm-hmm. So he didn't mention anything about Libya, right?
Right.
He went right to Syria. And my problem with that is Obama drew that red line in Syria. You remember that, mm-hmm. right? And we made fun of him because he said, oh, here's my red line. You go over that and there's going to be consequences. And the red line happened and he didn't do anything. And the last thing America and the world needs, because I know at some level you're kind of an isolationist, right? It's their problem, Fortress America, and we don't need to worry about all that.
To some level.
Okay, I completely disagree with that. We are the last remaining superpower in this world, and we have our fingers in a lot of different pies, for better or worse. And the last thing that the world needs, our friends and our enemies, is a president who's feckless, who's like, well, I'm worried Adam Schiff's going to vote against me, so we better not do anything.
Well, feckless about what, though? Because, I mean, the problem is that he has no reservations for going against everything he said in his campaign, which is no new wars, specifically no new war in Iran. Just last year, during the summer, they were saying, well, we're bombing the nuclear facilities. We destroyed the nuclear facilities, but there's going to be nothing else. That's it. No regime change. No regime change. Now it's a regime change war. They just changed their mind. And, you know, like, when you look at, okay, what are they doing for America, for Americans and the problems here? What's one of the biggest problems that we have? It's all these illegal immigrants coming in.
Yep.
We're not getting the mass deportations. They went to Minnesota to deal with the Somali thing. There was all these protests. People died. They backed out. They said, well, this is not good for PR. This is not good for PR. We need to back out. But bomb Iran? Let's go. We'll do it right away. You know, it's like, where are the priorities?
I will remind you, this is your guy. I was the one going a year ago on this podcast saying anybody but this guy.
Yeah.
For a lot of these reasons that you're talking about, because when he goes out every day, I wish he'd stop doing this. He's like, oh, this is the biggest, this is the most, and blah, 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 blah. It's just bullshit. It goes in one ear and out the other ear, and he's wrong on a lot of what he's saying.
I mean, I think the trap that I fell into was just believing what he said, you know.
You said he was a different guy. He was not your typical bullshit politician.
And he wasn't. I mean, in 2016,
He's
he
still
wasn't.
not.
Right, but like he kind of is now. Like Trump has become the swamp. He is controlled by moneyed interests. He got hundreds of millions of dollars from the Israel lobby, and it's just coincidentally now he's going bombing Iran. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, sure. But
do you really think he's beholden to anybody at this point? I mean, he's run his last election. I think he's going to do whatever he thinks is best.
I mean, maybe, but like, I mean, he got hundreds of millions of dollars and in 2016, he took no money, right? That was his big thing. It was his
money, right?
Like, I'm running on my own money. I don't need your money. I don't need your support. I'm the outsider. I'm the bull in the china shop. But this time, but this time it's the exact opposite. He had all of the establishment money behind him. He took hundreds of millions of dollars in campaign contributions. Netanyahu came and visited 7 times last year or whatever it was. And so like that thing that he said he was in 2016, he's no longer that thing anymore. And also on top of that, it's like, what does he say versus what does he do? He said when he campaigned, we're going to build a wall. We're going to have mass deportations. We're no new wars. All of these things. And now he's going against all that and doing the exact opposite.
He said that in his first administration, and you were still gung-ho on him a year ago.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, I was wrong. I've changed my mind. Yeah. I've changed my mind for sure.
Okay. So what does any of this have to do with the homeland? Good segue there. You know who Chris Stigall is, don't you?
Yes.
National guy. Chris is a good friend of mine. We worked together at the radio station early on in his career. And I think he frames it nicely. So roll this.
Okay. Here we go.
I get it. There are a lot of opinions online about this war, about Israel's relationship with the United States, about Iran, and whether we should be involved in toppling Iran's regime or not, and Israel's influence and Zionism. I get all of that, and I know that online and in podcasts there are people of many, many opinions, causing maybe you a lot of distress. I would just ask you this. If you're an American citizen, are you at all distressed with the fact that an Islamist is the mayor of the largest city in the country? Are you at all alarmed that his wife is also an Islamist? Are you alarmed at all that a protest in front of their home this weekend, protesting the growth and influence of Islamism in this country, was met by 2 Islamist protesters throwing an IED into their protest? And are you alarmed at all that after that happened, the Islamist mayor came forward to say, while he repudiates violence, it was the protesters protesting the growth of Islam that had it coming, effectively cheering on his Islamist brethren who chucked the IED into the peaceful protesters in front of his home. So, folks, you can be as critical of Israel or Zionism or this war or whatever that you want to be. That's fine. But if your favorite podcaster or whomever online that you consume isn't talking about what happened this weekend, isn't talking about remotely being concerned about the growth of Islam in our government and in major American cities, I would strongly advise you to consider just exactly who's buying them off, who's paying them, because they're not doing it for free.
So there you go. I remember Chris when he had hair.
He looks good. Very well groomed man there.
I would also point out, on top of what he just said there, that there were protesters in New York that were throwing ice balls at New York City cops, and this mayor laughed it off as a snowball fight. Mm-hmm. It's just a snowball fight. Do you really think it's a good idea to throw anything at cops?
No. Well, and I mean, I agree with what he said, but the problem with that is his dismissal. It's not like we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Why not both? That's my thing. Why not both? Like, yes, that's a problem. We shouldn't have Somali Muslims taking over major cities.
Right.
We've talked about that. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't have a foreign-born Muslim mayor of our biggest major city in America. We've talked about that. But I'm sorry, but it's not the Islamists that are donating hundreds of millions of dollars to our president. It's not the Islamists that are buying up all the media conglomerates. Like, we can talk about both things.
I get your point that, you're anti-Semitic. Is that too strong a term?
Yeah, it's too strong a term.
Okay. I mean, you're anti-Israel.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So at least we've made that point and we get that out there. So gas prices are up. We've talked about that. We get that China's getting 80% of its oil right through the Strait of Hormuz. Chuck Schumer encouraged the president to open the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and I'm totally against that. Yet we're doing it anyway. We're doing it anyway because gas prices are up a little bit. Can we agree that the Strategic Petroleum, I can't even say it, the SPR,
that's why they make acronyms.
Is there, in case there's an apocalypse or something like that, and we need to fuel our ships to go defend us. It's not because of market forces on gasoline prices. Yet we're doing it anyway. And I would point out that Chuck Schumer was against Donald Trump refilling the SPR when oil prices were at $29 a barrel. Mm-hmm. Now it's closer to $100 a barrel, and he wants to dip into it. So do you really want to turn this government? I don't know what's going to happen this fall. It's crazy right now. We got a president who goes out there and says, "Oh, this is tremendous. It's almost over. This is just a little excursion we're going on." I don't buy that either.
Yeah,
I don't buy a lot of it. But I do know this, and I would put money on this in Vegas, that if the Democrats win the House in the fall, which right now looks to be likely, their first resolution is going to be impeach Donald Trump. I don't even know what for. Fill in the blank. They probably already have the document drawn. It's like, impeach Donald Trump for fill in the blank.
It's kind of what they did last time.
Exactly. So that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
So this is to be continued. And again, we pray for our troops. We pray for our country. Pray for our president. We pray for everybody involved in this, that we get to some sort of a solution here that leads to peace and harmony. Isn't that what we really want at the end of the day?
Of course, yeah. And I mean, you mentioned prayer, and it's like the thing that we're not talking about, and that's not really what this podcast is about, but like there's a huge spiritual element and religious element to all of this. The Zionism thing, the Israel thing, America, like that's kind of where it all stems from at the end of the day. So it's not just like, oh, well, we don't like such and such because reasons, like there's deep-seated stuff for all this. So.
All right, back to what we were talking about at the beginning, with the shooter and getting the slap on the wrist and all that. We do encourage you on this podcast to exercise your Second Amendment right, but be responsible about it. You're responsible when you pull the trigger. You should be. Apparently, you're not in Jackson County. Just depends on what happened there. I mean, a big crowd, guns going off. Who knows where the bullet went? That's not exactly what I believe, but it is what they believe at Clay Como Shooters. That's why when you pick out the firearm that you're going to defend your castle with, to use Kurt's term, to defend your family in your own home, to defend your own self when you are threatened in public. And I'm not talking about a bunch of thugs going to a Super Bowl rally and one of them opens up and the rest of them open up. I don't know that fits the definition of this, but then again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a prosecutor. Maybe I need to learn more about that. Clay Como Shooters will find the firearm that you need to protect yourself and your family. They're at 69 Highway in Clay Como. They are a full-service firearms dealer. They'll buy guns. They've got experienced trainers there with law enforcement background, indoor shooting range, so you'll become proficient. They have affordable pricing. It's not a big box store. Neighborhood business, just looking out for the community. Protect yourself and your family. Find that right firearm and get trained on it. Call them and or just stop by and see them. They're great folks. 69 Highway in Clay Como is right between I-35 and I-435, right around Worlds of Fun. 816-452-4867. That is the number to call for Clay Como Shooters. Kirk Doris is the guy you want to see if you are 65, approaching 65, have a family member that's approaching 65, because he's the Medicare guy. He's a specialist at it. Medicare Simplified KC. That's his website, MedicareSimplifiedKC.com, because it's one of those huge Leviathan programs that comes from your federal government, so it's really, really complicated. And that's exactly what you want to face when you're turning 65, a complicated government program. Kirk will make it all very simple for you based on your circumstances, which part, which plan, which other plans you need to go along with it, the supplemental plans. He's got 30 years of Medicare experience, and he's helped thousands of folks right here in the Kansas City area and beyond. If you're consuming the podcast and you don't live in the Kansas City area, I'd call Kirk anyway. I gave his number to somebody in Nashville the other day, 816-701-6661. His office is at 3600 South Nolan Road in Independence. You can't come to him. He will come to you. Medicare Simplified KC. Jesse Jackson's funeral. I threw this in here because I thought we could have some fun with some clips. I got a lot of clips loaded for this, so it's probably going to come at you really fast here, Kurt.
Yep, that's fine. I'll be ready.
The Jesse Jackson family, I want to say this at the outset. They asked that his funeral not be turned into a political rally. But Democrats just can't help themselves. Do you remember the Paul Wellstone funeral? You were probably pretty young then.
No, I don't.
Yeah, 2002, senator from Minnesota. He's killed in a plane crash. And they turned it into, that was the first one I remember, that they turned it into this political rally where everybody was yelling and screaming. And of course, it was all the Republicans' fault. So the Reverend there at the Jesse Jackson funeral introduced the 5 presidents who were there. This is the official person conducting the funeral. He mentioned Clinton, Obama, and Biden, plus Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris.
Oh, not president.
Not presidents. But he said, hey, we got 5 presidents here. And then when he said their 2 names, there were chants in the background of, I know that's right. I know that's right. Amen. Yeah. And so it was off and running at that point. Boy. Yeah. Joey B., his usual insulting self. Play the first clip on that.
If I told you all earlier when I was a kid I had a cleft palate or a club foot, none of you would have laughed. But it's okay to laugh at stuttering. I'm not being critical of you, but think about it. It's the one place where people think you're stupid. Oh, really? I'm a hell of a lot smarter than most of you. But all kidding aside.
So he's in a room that's like 98% black people, and he says, I'm smarter than you. That's Joey B. that we know and love. And it did remind me of some of Joey B.'s greatest hits.
Okay, here's the next one.
And the other thing we should do is we should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids.
And he catches himself.
He just tries to clean it up.
I love how like one person claps after he says
do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. wealthy kids, black kids,
That might have
Asian kids.
been Jill. Do your Jill impersonation.
Biden, Joey, you did such a great job. And what did they do when they came up? They lied.
By the way, this is the guy who got more votes than any person in the history of the United States for president.
Yep.
More so than Obama, more so than Clinton, either Clinton for that matter. Okay, one more.
With their budget and what they're proposing. Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
I like the part I missed about this one was
they're going to put
oh no, hold on.
Unchain.
That part. Unchain.
He was like channeling a Roman emperor there, right?
Unchain.
Okay, and then he spoke at Robert Byrd's funeral.
Oh, we know him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Robert C. Byrd was a parliamentary library, a keeper of the institution of the Senate, and he was the institution itself. But to me, and many people here today, like guys I see, Bill Bradley and Jim Sasser, who've long left the Senate for greener pastures, and I hope better remuneration.
That means money.
The kid about that too, but for a lot of us, he was a friend, and he was a mentor, and he was a guide.
Yeah, he was also the exalted Cyclops of the KKK.
Best title ever.
Yeah.
Exalted Cyclops.
So 80 million people voted for this guy. A lot of them were black people. Remind me again what he did for black people. Kamala Harris knows.
When Vice President Biden was in the United States Senate working with segregationists to oppose busing, which was the vehicle by which we would integrate America's public schools.
Come on,
Had I been in the United States Senate at that time, I would have been completely on the other side of the aisle. And let's be clear about this. Had those segregationists their way, I would not be a member of the United States Senate, Cory Booker would not be a member of the United States Senate, and Barack Obama would not have been in the position to nominate him to the title he now holds.
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
So there's that. All the presidents who spoke, by the way, the legitimate presidents, the three who were there, took shots at Donald Trump. Donald Trump was invited to this ceremony, and he declined. Do you really blame him?
Yeah.
Why would he go to that?
Well, we showed all the pictures of him with Jesse Jackson last week or the week before, so I guess they were friends.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
Almost there. Jesse Jackson Jr., the final word on this.
Do you want me to play the presidents? This one?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I listened for several hours.
Thank you,
three
Jesus.
United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson. He maintained a tense relationship with the political order, not because the presidents were white or black, but the demands of our message, the demands of speaking for the least of these, those who were disinherited, the damned, the dispossessed, the disrespected, demanded not Democratic or Republican solutions, but demanded a consistent, prophetic voice that at no point in time ever sold us out as a people. And it speaks volumes about who the Reverend Jesse Jackson was.
Yeah. So who was the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and what did he think of Donald Trump? I found this clip. See for yourself what Jesse thought of Donald Trump.
Bring forth a friend who has, he is deceptive in that his social style is of such. One can miss his seriousness, and his commitment for their success is beyond argument. When we opened this Wall Street project and we talked about it, he gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was to make a statement about our having a presence there. And beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to risk to make things better. And so aside from all of his style and his pizzazz, he's a serious person who is an effective builder of building with a builder of people. Last year he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so this, a year later, Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the underserved communities. Donald Trump.
No, keep going.
Right,
shake of the hands there, slap on the back. Now, we built this podcast on rooting out hypocrisy wherever it exists. So I still think what I think about the late Jesse Jackson, shakedown artist, thrived off racial division. He and Al Sharpton, I mean, they wouldn't have been in business were it not for racial division. But I think it's clear he liked Donald Trump and Donald Trump liked him. Mm-hmm. And you've had the pictures before with Sharpton and Donald Trump as well. Yet, you know, the TDS crowd will still say that Donald Trump is a racist. And then they will go on and on with everything that they want to do, quote unquote, for black people. And we see how that's worked out in this country. Yep. Yet they keep voting for it. Why do you keep doing that? I don't know. Ask friends of yours of color. Ask them why. And I think more of them voted for Donald Trump this last time than it ever happened before. So there's a crack in that whole monolith of Democrats and this fallacy that they have that they are the folks that represent people of color. I think that's cracking. We need to keep cracking that ice and that glass ceiling and all that and every other euphemism I can come up with for that. I guess, you know, this time of day I get hungry and I start thinking about pizza. And
speaking of crack, let's crack open a cold beer at Funhouse Pizza.
No, let's do it. The cold beer, they got great pizza, topped high. If you like that on your pizza, you're going to love Funhouse Pizza. And we were just talking before we started recording the podcast today. We're going to get a date in the spring here so that we can be at Funhouse Pizza. We'll be at Lee's Summit this time on 50 Highway. We'll get a date to you soon enough. 7 Highway in Blue Springs as well. Funhousepizza.com. Little League Baseball is going to fire up before you know it. You got to have a parents meeting, a team meeting. Pizza goes great with everything. And of course at Funhouse, when the kids get a little distracted, they've got the video games and the rides, just all the fun atmosphere that you have at Funhouse Pizza lends itself to parties, birthday parties, whatever family get together you've got will go better at Funhouse Pizza. You could take it to go, you could eat there, funhousepizza.com, build your own and pile it high. Michael Schroer is a guy who was very busy last year selling houses, moving people from apartments to their first home, from their first home to their bigger home, from their bigger home to their smaller home post kids, and even land that you want to build on. There are challenging times ahead in real estate, but you know what? If the president's right and this is a short-term excursion and the markets are going to come back to where they were and when they were growing, it's going to be a great year for Michael Schroer as well. Regardless of what the market is doing, you have your own decision to make. Is it time to sell? Is it time to buy? Sometimes those two things happen at the same time. Get Michael Schroer on the case. His office number is 816-373-8400. He's his new broker, well, not new anymore, RE/MAX Elite in Lee's Summit. He can take care of all your real estate needs wherever you happen to be at 816-373-8400. His cell phone number is 816-520-9342. And you can get him on his email at michaelschroer56. That's Michael spelled like you normally spell it. Schroer is SCHROER, the number 56 at gmail.com. Get on it. So TDS we just talked about, because TDS was on display at the Jesse Jackson funeral over the objections of Jesse Jackson Jr., who, by the way, was a Democrat member of the House of Representatives. It's not like he's a flag-waving Republican with a MAGA hat, and he said what he said. But TDS is definitely alive and well. I found this from Jim Carville. James Carville. He was the guy who got Bill Clinton elected, at least the first time. There is a language warning on this, and I'll remind you that his lovely wife was a Republican strategist for the Bush family. So that must be an interesting dynamic in that household. Especially
either that or they're all the same.
Or opposites attract. Maybe they set off fireworks in the boudoir. I don't know. But James Carville was definitely on fire with this. There's a language warning. Language warning!
Trump, if you listen to this, you fat fuck. Trump, if you listen to this, you listen good. Because what I'm getting ready to say is what a lot of people in this country speak for, who I speak for. And I speak for a lot of fucking people. You hear me, you fat asshole? This is what we believe. You're right. I got Trump derangement syndrome. I hate the motherfucker. And you know what? I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to get better. I want to get worse. I want to hate him more. I pray to God in heaven, God reign the righteous reign of Trump derangement syndrome. Pray for me, Lord. I'm your vessel on this earth. Pray for the people that listen to this. We want more. We want to hate the son of a bitch so much that we can't see straight. Look, you fat fuck, Trump, if you
I mean, does that seem like a wrestling video?
Lord have mercy.
I'm telling you.
Old people are angry, man.
Yeah.
Don't get old.
Not old.
And if you do, don't get angry.
Do you think of me as old?
No, he's older than you.
Yeah, well, definitely older than me. Yeah. He doesn't like Ilhan Omar either. He doesn't like a lot of people. He doesn't like Ilhan because she's on the far, far left, and apparently Ilhan doesn't like white people, and Carville's a white guy.
I have a lot of friends in Minneapolis, and a lot of people think well of her, but she started attacking white males. And I'm saying, wait a minute, let's stop. All right, in 2024, 72% of the people that voted were white. All right, that's just a fact. Of that 72, probably 48%, or 48.5% were male. So it's somewhere around, I did the math on the thing, about 33% of the people that are going to vote are going to be white males. Well, it's stupid to attack 33% of the voters.
Right.
That's not, you don't want to start there. What you try to do is you start and you build up. And so what I would say to Congressman Omar, why don't you be a Democratic Socialist of America? Do what AOC did.
James Carville, ladies and gentlemen.
He said, don't start there. You got to build up to it. So don't start by hating on white males. You got to ease into it a little bit. Come on.
77 million people voted for Donald Trump, and he just went off on them with F-bombs left and right. He probably doesn't like Kristi Noem either. This is her exchange with one of our favorites, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, and this exchange probably got her fired.
How do you square that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements that feature you prominently?
On a horse.
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country and to other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from.
She's like, don't you see my Botox? Don't you see my fake lips?
She's got great hair.
This is why I'm on TV and you're not.
Are those extensions?
With putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave, or we would detain them and remove them, and they'd not get the chance to come back to America the right way. That has been extremely effective.
Ask you to run these advertisements, is that right?
We had that conversation, yes, before I was put in this position and sworn in and confirmed, and since then as well.
Okay. Did you bid out those those service contracts?
Yes, they did. They went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would do those advertising commercials.
And the people that you ended up picking
That's
for
all you need
people
of that.
who had...
Because, you know, bottom line is when Trump heard that he had approved that, and he said, I didn't approve that. He got her on the phone and he fired her, and then she had to go out, and she had a pre-scheduled thing. She was talking to law enforcement in Nashville, and she went out and took questions among all these people who did not know in the crowd that she'd been fired.
Oh, wow.
And she handled it well. But she's been put in a different part of the government, something that they made up. I don't know what
he'll replace her with another pretty middle-aged Botox lip injected woman.
No, we already had the replacement.
Oh, really?
He was on the Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma is going to be the new Secretary of Homeland Security, and he is a former MMA fighter. Did you know that?
I did not.
I didn't know it either. So he likes to fight. We got a clip where it shows he loves to fight.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every poll?
No, sit down. Sit down. Okay. You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every poll?
No, sit down.
Now, that's government right there. It's Bernie Sanders telling him to sit down.
I honestly love that. I love that.
That's funny.
That's the kind of energy we need. You want to go? You want to go right now? You want to go? You want to go?
By the way, as we record this podcast, and it could change, and I hope it does, Senate Democrats are still holding up funding for DHS. As somebody flying next week, I really wish they'd get that done, because I don't want to have to wait 4 hours to get on a plane because nobody wants to show up because they're not getting paid. And people get mad at me when I do the news on KF, and I always, because when they talk about the funding being held up for DHS, our wire service is not being honest about it, because the honest answer is the Democrats are conducting a filibuster in the Senate. If they weren't conducting a filibuster to stop a vote, it would be voted on by a majority of Republicans. It would go to Donald Trump, and he would sign it. So the fact of the matter is there is a filibuster going on in the Senate led by Senate Democrats, and until they break that filibuster, it's not going to get voted on. So you are holding up what's going on. And then what will happen is if they get the Senate back, you know how this story plays out. When they get the Senate back, they'll be like, well, Republicans are holding this up with a filibuster. We got to get rid of the filibuster.
Right.
I don't hear a lot of Republicans saying that other than Donald Trump. He'd like them to just get rid of the filibuster. But it separates the Senate from the House. Royal Roofing and Solar. That's somebody you probably should call after what we've been through this week, especially up north of the river where you got 4-inch diameter hailstones. Get Austin Watterson up on your roof and get the free examination of what you're dealing with. I mean, it may be fine, but if it's not fine, did you see the video where the Mayor Q, basically they did some work at City Hall and there was like water just cascading down into his office.
Oh, really?
From the work that was done there. You don't want to see that at your house. You don't want to see brown spots on the ceiling. And why it's important to get Austin Watterson and Royal Roofing and Solar at your house is because he has employees, W-2 employees, not 1099 people. And let me tell you the difference there. Because if you got some run-of-the-mill roofing company with 1099 employees, that means they're not part of salary, they're not on benefits, and they're not covered by insurance. So they get up on your roof, they fall off. That's your problem, homeowner. But with Austin's people, because they're W-2 employees, if there's an accident, God forbid, Austin's company takes care of that. You're not on the hook for it. Never mind the fact that they're experts at what they do. They're going to get you a hail-resistant roof that's going to lower your home insurance rates. So many great positives going on with Royal Roofing and Solar. Get on the phone and call them. At least get them up there to take a look at your roof. They'll take whatever forwards you want to do there as well, recommendations at 816-540-7057. I'll recommend them. They did the roof on my house, and they did a fantastic job on it. We don't have any problems with the roof on my house because of roofedbyroyal.com. That's where you'll find Royal Roofing and Solar. And the guy who's going to be really happy you did that is going to be Bob Watson if he's your insurance agent. He's my state State Farm agent for the last 31 years. Licensed in Missouri and Kansas. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Bundle your home and car insurance. Save even more. Call Bob and get a rate quote. 816-229-7878. Auto, home, life, commercial insurance. Pretty soon we're going to get the pontoon boats out on the area lakes. You want to insure that as well. If it's important enough for you to insure, you need State Farm in your corner, and the gold standard in the Blue Springs, Kansas, Missouri area, the entire metro area is Bob Watson. He's been at it for over 50 years.
I'd say congratulations.
Good guy who wants to take care of you. Again, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. We leave you today with March Madness getting ramped up locally. That means following the Big 12 in Kansas City and rooting for Mizzou in the SEC tournament. Actually, as we're recording this, that game is already underway. So hopefully Mizzou is going to beat Kentucky and advance in the SEC tournament, get in the big dance. And gosh, wouldn't it be nice if we had a Kansas-Missouri national championship? You'd get really good odds on that in Vegas right now, probably 50,000 to 1. Probably will never happen, but it's a dream for the area. Basketball, Kurt, is really a very simple game.
How does Yale out-rebound Baylor?
You go up and grab the ball off the rim when it comes off, and then you grab it with two hands, and you come down with it, and that's considered a rebound. So they got more of those than we did.
Isn't that great?
That's so good. There's another one. I've seen a few like that, but there's one with Scotty Scheffler, the golfer.
Yeah.
And he hit a shank, like a real bad shank on a hole. And they're like, so what happened on that hole? You hit that shank. And he's like, well, when you make contact with the ball, it goes off of the hosel and then it goes that way. And that's a shank.
I saw that clip. It reminded me of something that I saw back in the 80s, and I could not find the clip. Bobby Knight, my hero in college basketball coaching, they were trailing at halftime back in the 80s in a game, and Leslie Visser, do you remember her? She was like the sideline reporter for CBS.
No.
She goes up to him and she says, how did that happen or whatever? And he just looked at her very seriously and he goes, Leslie, they scored more points than us, and that's why they are leading in the game.
Yeah.
He was such an asshole.
I feel like my thing, if I was a coach, would be like an NFL coach. I would just have the same exact phrase I would say for every interview question. So it'd be like, well, we're just trying to get the ball and take it down the field and score points, and we're trying to stop the other team from getting the ball and taking it down the field and score points. And I would just say that every single time.
Most of them do.
No matter what the question is. Yeah.
And Andy Reid, you could almost script what he's going to say.
Yeah.
We look forward to the challenge of playing the fill-in-the-blank team. They're a good team. They're well-coached, and we don't have any injuries this week. Time is yours.
Yeah.
That's an Andy Reid press conference.
Can we watch this one more time? This is so fun.
Go ahead.
How does Yale out-rebound Baylor?
You go up and grab the ball off the rim when it comes off, and then you grab it with two hands, and you come down with it, and that's considered a rebound. So they got more of those than we did.
On that note of fun, we will leave you until a couple of weeks. I'm going to be in Nashville next week, so we're going to take a week off, and then we'll come back. And hopefully by then, everything will be simmered down. I would take a simmered down world, wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's all simmer down. And until next time, this is Dale Carter's America.
The views expressed on Dale Carter's America are Dale's and Kurt Wheeler's. They do not necessarily reflect the views of KFKF or Steel City Media. Comments can be sent to dalecartersamerica@gmail.com. Check back for weekly episodes. Subscribe, spread the word, and give us a 5-star review. Thanks for being a part of Dale Carter's America.